Who told it? Who told him? Snitches get fucking snitches.
Who's the grass?
Was it you? The grass?
Who's the grass? The only person who was there.
Did you do that voice?
Straight.
Basically.
Fucking snitch.
You damn grass.
You grass.
He
You're a
asked
rat.
me. He asked me.
Well, attempt to fuck off mind your business.
I should have, yeah. No, I'm actually ashamed of
Come
myself.
straight out of it.
My dad wasn't happy about it.
Hello and a very happy new year to you all. Welcome to our very first Rugby Pass Offload show of 2023 with Ryan Wilson and Max Lahiff as we finally venture into the studio for your viewing pleasure. Shortly we'll be joined by ex-England and Lions legend James Haskell to talk through everything going on in the world of rugby. But first things first, hello boys.
It's been too long, hasn't it?
I've said it already. I'll say it again. I think we've made it.
It's so exciting in here, isn't
We've
it?
officially made it. And again, because we've been in here 15 minutes already, Max broke his microphone and he turned up late. He turned up late. So he's actually been here for 15 minutes now, but he turned up just in the nick of time.
As always. That's how you do it.
All the way from Glasgow, mate.
Yeah, it's true.
I flew all the way from Glasgow.
That's a fair point.
Hopefully no one in Glasgow listens to this, but I pretty much missed this afternoon of training. And I'm sure after a few beers tonight, I might miss tomorrow. No, that's a joke. That's a joke.
Oh,
that's
God.
not happening. But boys, I can't
it,
believe it. I can't believe we're finally together. You two look really hot. I've got a jump on.
Sweating. The lights, the anxiety, the performance anxiety.
I'm so excited. I feel like I'm in my
Comfy.
natural bloody habitat.
That's because you're like basically a pundit now, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, we'll get on
Basically
to
a
that.
pundit now.
Ryan, we don't want to specifically kick off the year being mean, but Glasgow been in incredible form since you've been injured. Unbeaten, bonus point against the Stormers. Not pointing fingers. Where do we? Can we see any parallels?
Why does the producer insist to attack me and never him? It's always
He's
attacking
got
me.
his comeuppance. They're bottom of the Prem. You can't kick a dog while it's down.
It is coming. But no, listen, I started that off. Zebra away. Big win over there. First win away in a long time. I had a big part to do with that. Bath away. Suddenly, we're looking pretty sharp. Then I get injured and the boys go on a bit of a run. They won 4 more after that. So, listen, as you might have seen, I'm in the commentary now and I can help the boys that way instead. I actually loved it, boys. I absolutely loved doing commentary. But anyway, I'm happy to see the boys
fun,
doing well.
isn't it?
It's a happier place. You can skive off halfway through the day when
And in
they're winning.
polarity.
Whereas Max couldn't. He was nearly late. Ask him. Come on, let's get on to him.
Shall we talk? Let's. You're right. Let's bring Bristol's woes into things. Max, bottom of the table, another sort of disheartening defeat against London Irish. Hate to put it in there, but why not for context? Expensively assembled squad. What's going wrong?
You know when you're in these places as a team when the form slumps, you're on like a little bit of a losing run. Well, they're saying that we beat Quins week before. But yeah, it's tough to know what's going on, you know what I mean? Like when you're in the valley of death, like you just got to keep soldiering on and try and hang your hat on the positives that come out of these defeats. But right now, yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm meditating on it. I'm trying to sort of
Yeah, but you the only one.
define. What?
Is that the problem? Are you the only one meditating on it? Are you the only one? What's the bus like after? Was it that Irish, wasn't it? Was it Majeski or wherever?
Oh
they
yeah,
played?
the bus was.
yeah.
It was
What was
somber.
the bus like?
It wasn't terrible. It was somber, but like yeah.
Because you get
not
the
quite
different
mausoleum,
characters, don't
but
you?
you've
You
got
get the-
guys who sort of drop it. Yeah,
You get the guys that bring it down.
yeah.
So I want to say are sort of the older heads, maybe, and then you got the guys that sort of, unlucky boys. Let's keep going and have a beer. I'm a mixture, I suppose. I think it pisses me off when I see some of the younger boys like, it doesn't really matter. But then if I set the tone of that, it's okay.
The hypocrisy. Very good.
Fabulous.
But you've done the paper round,
I
so
find out a lot about myself in these. This feels like, yeah.
These therapy
But it
You know
is-
what I mean? What is it? Was it a dark ride back? Was it horrible?
it wasn't the worst bus ride I've had back after a defeat.
And then back in Monday morning.
So yeah,
And Pat's giving
today
you the
was
full debrief.
today was obviously the full debrief.
No wonder you were late.
Yeah, so it was a long day of
Holy hecker.
righting wrongs.
what is the main difference? 2 seasons ago, you guys, top of the Prem, playing some of the most scintillating rugby that we've seen in the competition ever. And then suddenly, not that much long after, and suddenly, it's a completely different animal, and you're fighting at the bottom.
Yeah, that's what makes it so perplexing, because most of the squad's the same as well. So it's just I find when you get into these, I find rugby such a game of they make it very technical, don't they? The pundits, it's all about this, it's all about that.
I'm one of them now.
But it's so fighter's heart, isn't it? I think a lot of it's just so psychological, because once you start winning gain line battles, then everything sort of take care of itself. But right now we're sort of struggling to sort of just do the simple things well. And I think that's where sort of our redemption will lie.
Plus you can get in that spiral. Like, see, when you're at the bottom of the league, that pressure heaps on you.
Yeah, and then
we've won 6 in the bounce, and everyone's coming in training today like,
and it's just, and then that's like a catalyst for the other results, and it becomes habitual.
Like, we haven't lost at home this season, and just literally anyone comes, we're like, no one's going to beat us at home. Nobody's beating us at home. Whereas I can imagine rock bottom of the league, it's a tough old place to be, especially when you get paid an absolute fortune like some of those boys.
We are absolutely delighted to be joined now in person by an England and Lions legend in James Haskell. Firstly, James, Happy New Year. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Listen, I heard RugbyPass need to improve their ratings, so they roll out the big guns. Trying to improve the chat.
It was a Trojan horse, boys.
Also got a book out. I don't know if anyone's...
Fucking careful what you wish for. What have we done?
That's what I told you. What? As if you fucking lads thought it would be a good idea to get me on your podcast. Like when Freddie, I thought it was a wind-up. Like I bought Shooter, because I thought it was one of those things where I was going to come in here and you lads are going to take me out. But you've actually let me on air. We're actually putting it out. You're lucky it's not live. I was going to fucking strip off my Goodbye Rugby kit, everything.
That's what I said to Fred. I said, mate, he's going to come in and throw shade on our shit.
No, it's all right, lads. Come on, listen.
You're all about giving love nowadays.
Caring the community. As I get a tax break to work with, younger upcoming podcasts. It's a good kind of good guy. So a couple of academy kids. I look at lads. Whatever I can do, whatever I can. If I can share the knowledge with them.
He did tell me that. He said, "Who was it? Who was it? I'm coming on with." It doesn't mean.
Well, I said to Alex Payne, who that was coming on, he was a bit twitchy. He was like
not happy.
Are you sure? I was like, fucking relax.
You're cheating on me.
Yeah. He was like a scorned woman. He was. Yeah, he's like, he's like. I asked him, it's fine, like slamming doors and shit like that. Yeah, no, he's fine. But then when he said the names, I was like, I wouldn't go, who are the lads? I just didn't. It just wasn't very clear.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's the Little People podcast. Yeah, the people's voice.
Well, it's having put us in our place. Let's talk about both of you. The privilege of attending Wellington College, about 5 years apart or something.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Wonderful rugby school.
You weren't there when I was there.
No, you just.
He heard the story. He heard the stories. He had long hair back then.
Yeah.
I remember you back then.
Your legend preceded you. Yes.
Yeah. Rugby or
just the whole
stuff.
shebang. Back then, it was like Wellington College was quite draconian. It was pretty much run by the sixth form, and the first 15 were basically the lawmakers.
That's in any.
What house were you?
No, to be honest, I was in Line Dock. I was like in the nerd house. Everyone went to Oxford apart from me, and the one kid who used to eat the Pritt stick and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Kind of go put a fork in a socket and stuff. Like, him and I
was that kid in my house.
That was Max.
I was that kid in my house.
Max is there,
so you two went into rugby
with his eyes revolving, like twitching, going, reading Greek philosophy, but also just bench pressing things.
Weird.
I've invented something you haven't. You've just
exactly.
fork in a socket.
Yeah.
I didn't realise you went to Wellington.
Yeah, I was in the Orange.
Quick one on one of your
real diversity on this podcast, by the way.
Yeah, it's not
watch people, but
looking silver spoon.
Unfireable. Your mate Prince Harry.
Yes.
In the news a lot recently.
Yes.
You were at his wedding.
Yes.
What? Were you actually at his wedding?
Ryan, I've tried to tell you from the very first moment I met you, I am big time.
He's in the Illuminati.
He didn't go to school as well, did he? Because he's not jacked up, mother.
No. But
how did you know him?
When you're a man with cheveux rouge, you need all the big men you can hang around with.
How did you get invited? Though?
So I knew Harry when he went to Ludgrove and stuff like that. We played against prep school because he's the same age. He and I have got some mutual friends. A guy called Adam Bidwell. I got to know very well over the years. We just got on, got well.
And then through the England rugby stuff, I'm guessing.
Yes, 100%. Came down to England a few times, and just got on really. So he invited Chloe and I to the wedding. I met obviously went to Zara and Mike's wedding. And so that was obviously quite a loose affair where I got to see all of them in a different dynamic. So we had a good session, and who doesn't bonded for a few sherbets.
And so who's looser out of the two? Out of the two,
It's got to be Harry.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
Sure.
or is there just
Or is it just
a
what
bit
we're
like,
told? Is it just what we're shown?
Yeah.
They wanted to scapegoat him early.
Yeah. Or is it like you've got like one of them's break glass in emergency every now and then? It just comes out and just goes completely mental. I can't confirm or deny, but I would say that everybody is human. Everyone enjoys a tear up. Do you know what I mean? Who doesn't?
What have you made out of everything that's going on at the moment?
So I've just downloaded his book. Actually, I think having watched the documentary, when you understand his view on the media, I think for a lot of people, they're caught up with the headline issues around kind of dynamics of the family. They're caught up around kind of the sensationalist parts. They're caught up with the Meghan stuff. That's all a sideshow to, I think, what the central message is, which is actually the media are awful. The media are, they don't write the truth. They, in 5 inches on the Daily Mail, can have contradictory articles. They can say what they want with impunity. They can do what they want. And so that message for me, I think, is really strong. I think if you listen to anybody who takes on the media, you never win. And if you do win, you don't win because they just give you an apology on the 15th page. You might get some money in damages, but they drag it through court. And in the process of dragging it through court, like with Meghan's situation, they then make more of a story of it. So they sell even more papers. So they recoup any losses they were ever going to make. So from that point of view, I fully agree with it. I fully understand it. Fair play. He's basically sacrificed lots of things to now take on the media and make a stand. And because I think he feels like he wants to protect his wife, and I'm 100% for that. Would I do it? I mean, look, it takes a braver man than me.
back to the really important part though. Both are in a pub round the corner, right?
Yes.
Both are in the pub. You're going there, and
Yeah.
you want one of them to leave, you want one of them to stay for a good beer and a good piss. Which one are you keeping there? Which one are you going on the piss
Harry,
with?
I say Harry purely because
He's got loads of money.
no, well,
both quite minted. Mate.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
you get quite a good, you get a good round it. I would
Yeah.
say because one is a future king, one is not going to ever be king. So,
This one can get a bit
to
more
lose,
loose than the other.
well, that's what he said in his own book, isn't it? He said, one's spare,
I haven't
one's
read
spare, one's not. Yeah, but the point is, he said, I'm in no danger of ever becoming part of the, the royal. So, but equally, I was treated as that. He talks about competition between him and his brother, and so his brother's already won. He's going to be the
But
king.
William still likes a punch up and getting loose.
No, I've got no idea what he likes to punch up, but
I thought that's what you alluded to.
No,
when you
no,
talked about
no,
the wedding.
no,
Yeah,
no,
like,
no,
well, yeah, they both
Say
like
it, sensationalise it, print it.
not everything's about violence, mate. Why can't we just have a couple of pints and relax?
I'm with you.
What about a glass of wine with a meal? And just take it from the
I thought that's
Not this
basically
guy.
what you said earlier.
What
I
about
was
a
like,
pint of mead after you've
what-
sacrificed
Where's
your
there a
victory?
wedding where there's
Yeah.
not a punch up?
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
You been a wedding where there's not a punch
Again,
up?
different strokes, different folks, mate. Your neck of the woods, that is short, goes on.
Right, well, let's move on to something else being in the headlines lately. Somebody speaking his mind. You once famously got in a tussle with Joe Marler
Yes.
when he sprayed water in your face, I think it was
Yeah.
inside. What have you made of sort of the comment, the subsequent ban against Bristol a couple of weeks ago?
Do you know what? I said this kind of before on our pod. I watched bits and pieces of rugby.
Stop saying our pod.
Sorry.
Fucking,
Good bad rugby.
Fucking electric chair.
Yeah.
Every time he says it, you should get absolutely buzzed.
Yeah, you electrocute me for to get hard on. No, I'm joking. Am I? No, I saw parts of it, and initially I thought, look, it's an error of judgment. I don't, I know Joe very well. I think he does what we all do, and is very emotional and is reactive at times. Was it nice? No. Was it wrong? No. And I think my wife, interestingly enough, has said exactly what his wife has said to me or said to him on a number of occasions. So I'll come back and I said, I posted this. And she goes, "You're a fucking idiot. How can I ever defend you?" She goes, "If people come at you, I'm going to throw you under the bus because it's the wrong thing to do." And the very fact, in his own words, he shared that. That's for me is what it is, And one of the things I talk a lot about in the book is in a world now
What
where
book?
this special book is called A James Haskell Approach Without Caution: 5 Pillars to Change
Yeah,
Your
it's
Life.
nice.
It is nice, actually. It's like they've almost filled a bit of it in. I think I think it's blown off more, But I'm guess what 2023 I'm getting a new lid. I'm going to come back
Fuck,
looking like you.
show me that. You look like that. No, you don't.
No,
I thought I was going to say you almost
Chris
look,
Hemsworth, Thor.
James Smith almost.
James Smith. That's what I was going to say. James Smith.
James Smith's got even less lid than mine, you fucks.
That's what I knew that what I was looking
I
for.
don't know what. That's what I was fucking
Do you mind not
thinking.
putting words into his
Sorry,
mouth?
sorry.
He doesn't
Apologies.
need anyone else hyping him up.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I talk about in there is kind of worrying about your side of the street, and a lot of people now, especially on social media, get get really caught up with pseudo crusades and hammering everyone else. Like, who the fuck am I to judge Joe Marler? And why would I ever? It's not for me to ever comment. I go, you've asked me about it, and I go, I don't really have an opinion on it other than what he said is what he said, and what his missus said for me is a perfect example of it. Have I equally fucked up more than that? Yeah, 100%. So I don't really bother with judgment because, when my side of the street's perfect and I'm not fucking up on a catastrophic basis daily, I'll then start throwing stones.
What do you reckon, Max? Because he was
Yeah,
there.
he was
yeah.
right there.
Okay, so
there,
what?
in the
This
face.
is actually what happened. All right, so we're in the breakdown. Me, Jake Keenan, and Joe. Joe's like giving Jake a shoe. Nothing too egregious. It was pretty normal stuff. Anyway, we get to the setup at the scrum, and Jake Keenan's like, "Mate, you're better than it, brother. Brother, you're better than that." He's a Kiwi,
Right.
and then Joe.
By Somalia, isn't it?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, let's
Sorry.
joke it easy.
And then Joe's like, "You're not my brother. You are not my brother." And then I could see him looking for something to say because usually he says something pretty funny.
Yeah.
He does have some good
Yeah.
quips. Like he gave Magnus the old "What are you celebrating about? You satellite see you next Tuesday" because of his ears, and that made me chuckle so much.
It's always bad. It's always bad
when you go for your own teammate.
You got burnt, mate.
He's done.
Hey, Maggie would have been like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, it was like fair play.
Yeah,
he laughed as
agreed.
well. Oh, bro, it was funny. And then, but he got to that and he was like searching for something, and then that came out, and everyone was like, "Oh," because it was just like so like piercing through it. It's like,
Yeah.
"Your mother's a whore."
Yeah,
In
and
fact,
you boys obviously knew
your mother's
what was
a
going
whore.
on with his mum. Whereas Joe Marler,
he had
and
no,
said
but he
had
wouldn't have
no
known
idea.
that exactly. And he came out and apologized afterwards. I thought that was be the end of it. But then you could see Dixon goes like, "What's he say?" Because obviously there was a bit of argy-bargy afterwards.
Who told on him?
Yeah,
Snitches get fucking snitches.
Who's the grass?
Was it you? The grass?
Who's the grass? The only person who was there.
Did you do that voice?
Straight
Did
to
you
the
I
red.
bet he went like this. I bet he went like he went like this. Eyes like revolving like this. He went,
goes, yeah.
He goes,
Dicker
"Sir,
goes, what do you say?
in the crucible of fire, one of the fallen
had
men
an- he had an
said,
outburst.
your mother's a whore. Not only has he let himself down, he's let society down, sir. Throw the book at him, sir. You
Basically.
fucking snitch.
You damn grass.
You grass.
He
You're a
asked
rat.
me. He asked me.
Well, then tell him to fuck off, mind your business.
I should have, yeah. No, I'm actually ashamed of myself.
Straight out of it.
My dad wasn't happy about it.
Yeah, you snitch.
you're
Your
looking
dad's
after your
forsaken you.
But I was also
You're
looking
allowed to
after
take
my
out
mate.
the will.
what
Yeah, no, I'm
happened.
done. I brought great to him. Shame to the Lahiff name.
The dynasty, the
It's
Lahiff
over.
dynasty's been absolutely
yeah.
affected.
So I told him, and then during the week there was obviously like sighting, and they're asking, and then I'm getting messaged asking, and I was thinking in integrity that I hadn't grassed on him, so I was like, I'm not grassing on him, and I'd already done it.
That's a steroid. Slows the brain down.
They can do one, and I was like, oh, whoopsie, idiot.
Yeah. Because if you close your eyes and go like this,
Yeah.
it didn't happen.
yeah, it
It's like, it actually did
It
happen.
did.
It did happen.
You could
Grassed
tell
it
by
straight up.
Joe Marler's face, like, once he had said it,
Yeah.
he was like, you could tell he was like, fuck,
But then he
really not
apologised, so I
sat
was
well.
like,
I know,
Like,
yeah.
listen, it ain't going to set well, but
No.
we say stupid shit.
I know.
In the
It
heat of
just
the moment.
happens, yeah.
The thing with it is as soon as you get trial by social media
Oh,
and you get the
so-
opinion, all context is lost. That's why everything in rugby now, with all the injuries and the intent and the stuff, the two-line, whatever stuff it is, it takes all the intent, all the context out of it. It's just, you hear Joe Marler said what to someone's mum who's ill? You're like, no, this is somebody who made an honest mistake.
Yeah,
Was it right?
context
No.
is everything,
And people
yeah.
go, you shouldn't say that anyway. You're like, we're fucking meathead rugby players. We're in controlled violence all day long. That's why people get really upset about rugby. Like, oh, he did that. You know, like if you ever read about me in the paper going, James Haskell headbutted me and called me a CUNT, right? Everyone knows me. Go, that wouldn't be really a shock. People go, I can't believe it. Like, no, he pretty much is like that.
So
Do you know
would you have given him a 2-week ban?
what I mean?
Do you think it warrants a ban? Because I've heard worse stuff get said and
Yeah, I don't. I've never heard of someone getting banned for
It's the first.
saying
But maybe it's
something.
because of his history with
I just think
Samson.
the fact is that unfortunately but even then, I was there when that Samson thing
yeah.
happened.
I'm not defending him. I think it was stupid what he said.
Yeah. No,
It's
I'm
stupid
not-
what he said,
again,
but I don't
I
agree
don't
with the
know if
ban. I'm not
ban's-
sure.
A ban's not.
I don't
yeah.
have look again.
And he
I've
apologised
never,
afterwards, do you know
being
what I mean?
completely honest with you, I haven't given it a second thought till he asked me about it because it's just like one of those things. It's not. I cast no judgment on all of them. I feel sorry for the guys, but I've got an ill mum.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Joe, but I don't really care that much about it. Being completely honest with you, I'd say if you start banning people for what they say to each other on the field,
get in
that
the
is a
place.
very difficult precedent to
Back up all the time, yeah.
And the only time I've ever heard it was when Dylan Hartley, again, not even talking to the referee, he was talking to fucking Tom Youngs, called him a fucking cheat. Yeah. And Wayne Barnes took it as him. And it's like, why would you call the referee a fucking cheat? It doesn't even make any sense. But that got blown out of hand, and he obviously got banned for that. I would say it's very difficult, but rugby values, now the fact that refs are all mic'd up. But imagine football players, if you could hear what they said to the referee, they'd never play again based on that rule. So I don't think it should have got banned. I think it's nonsense. I think the problem is as soon as you open rugby up and stuff that happens on the field to a public forum of people who've never played, don't know anything about it, who are perpetually outraged anyway, this is where you fuck it.
Can we move on, boys, quickly on to...
fucking controlling it. Like, he goes,
I just have to sit here. I've been so polite listening to
he's sighing at the boredom of the show. You're the one controlling it. Don't ask shit questions. He's like, can we move on? Fucking ask me something interesting then.
Right, let's go. Okay, you've been very outspoken, Eddie Jones.
Yes.
About your disgust at England letting him go 9 months ahead of a World Cup. His record, though, 5 wins in the last 12. England embarrassed in the last couple of Six Nations. Surely that was the only thing left.
I would say that, well, first, we actually interviewed a couple of people from the RFU yesterday, and it was interesting to get their take on it. I think my personal view is, why do it 9 months? I mean, look, there's two things. First of all, I think Steve Borthwick's brilliant. And actually, ironically, if you're going to replace Eddie Jones with anyone, I think he'd be the best man to do the job. I thought the other names that were mooted were no good. I like the guy from the Crusaders, brilliant, has absolutely no international experience. Right, Warren Gatland was never going to come back to England when the opportunity to go back to Wales was there. There was a couple of other England coaches and a couple of international people. I just don't think they were the right fit. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword for me because I think they've actually replaced them with a coaching team that can really do some amazing things with England. I think the personal thing about Eddie is, he's got, 90% win record at World Cups, been to 3 finals, 1-1, lost 2. I mean, again, everyone goes, he's a consultant coach in South Africa. Listen, if you know Eddie Jones, he would never play a bit part, so that's sort of bollocks. And he took Japan to the most historic victory against South Africa ever and the most calculated performance that we've seen from a team against South Africa. They just pulled them apart with a tactical masterclass. So I'm disappointed for him. I'm disappointed because I think that my opinion was it was done by the media. I thought the media had an agenda. I think there was a lot of vitriol from a lot of guys who didn't understand what he was trying to do. I thought there was a lot of people on the outside peering through opaque windows, trying to guess what was going on and formulating opinions. I think guys like Clive Woodward, who obviously have an axe to grind, is desperate for this high-performance role that, he's never going to get. He hasn't coached rugby since 2005, but yeah, he's got such an opinion, and it's very clear that he's got a personal vendetta with Eddie. I like both Clive and Eddie. I think I've got utmost respect for Clive. My concern is that you can't continuously keep taking personal vendettas, use your Daily Mail column to do that, because people who know nothing about rugby look up to people like him. And then you look at the other media, and it was very much a toxic-driven thing to get rid of him. Every player I spoke to, and I spoke to a lot of them, thought he was brilliant and had absolutely no problems with him. And that, for me, is the issue.
Currently involved.
We're currently involved. And again, look, bear in mind, so I had 5 England coaches in my career. Did I have a same relationship with Eddie, with the rest of them like I did with Eddie? No. Did I have mutual respect? Yes. Would I have turned around and gone, I don't think some of them were great? Yes. Would other players have gone, they're the best thing since sliced bread? Of course.
Yeah.
Are there people that don't like Eddie? Yes. Has he got things right all the time? No. Do more people like him than dislike him? Yes. And was England the best environment I'd ever worked with in comparison to those other 5 who were lauded as some great coaches? 100%, and that's all I can go with.
But with the results that he had, surely losing all the way up to that isn't part of the fucking plan.
No, it's not. And I think the issue is that in 2018 they had a similar situation. The difference was the autumn they lost that New Zealand by 1 point, beat Australia, South Africa, and I think was it Fiji or someone else, and that's what kept him in. Then they went and then they finished second in the Six Nations, rolled straight into the World Cup. The problem was this time round they didn't have the momentum in the autumn, and the autumns were always Eddie's get out of jail free card. My concern was, why do it? Either do it a while ago or do it before, but don't do it now, because I don't believe the players were consulted. Now, when I interviewed Bill Sweeney yesterday, he says they were consulted, and some said disappointed that Eddie's going because he's a good man, but they're confident that it's the right decision. I don't know. That's not what I've heard. That's not what I speak to any of them, current players, but that's the point. I think it's sad for Eddie, and the real reality is that Eddie's going to end up coaching Australia. in the semi-final, quarter-final against England in the World Cup because he's got no compete clause.
Not this one coming up.
Yes, this one coming up.
Rennie's just come out though and said, "I'm not."
There's
Oh,
no
fine.
way.
Well,
But you think? But you would.
I would say that Rennie's under pressure. Rennie loses a few more games. Rennie's going to be picking up the phone to Eddie Joe. Why would you not want a man who's taken Australia to World Cup, who's got the best record?
Yes,
You know,
I
sounds
don't think the personalities will match.
No, maybe not, because
Yeah,
you know
I think
him,
they'll
because
clash,
he's Rennie's brilliant, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, because he
one of
went
the
to
best.
there was somewhere where was it Glasgow? Maybe
Yeah, he was up at Glasgow.
yeah, it was someone I was. I think I went to go maybe sign with him, whether it was at Glasgow or
Yeah,
talk
you
to him
did. There was chat about you
Yeah,
coming
yeah,
to Glasgow.
yeah, and
eh?
I-
Peter
Yeah, and you
Wright,
quashed that
Glasgow.
nicely, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well done.
No,
Ryan.
we would have worked
played
together in
really
the back
well.
row. We all played all three positions, don't we? So it doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
But he,
Yeah, was that serious? At one point, you nearly signed for Glasgow. I remember they were talking about that.
Yeah, again, Ulster. I almost did something for Ulster, and then for Glasgow. I don't know what changed or why I didn't or what year it was. I can't remember now, but I just remember because my agent spoke very highly of Dave Rennie. Said he was brilliant. He was a really good guy. People actually really liked him.
Yeah.
So I'm just that's talking about Eddie with Australia. It's just a point that could potentially happen because there isn't a no compete clause, and I wouldn't say we've seen the last of him. But I think England are in great hands. I just think it was just a bit of a sad way to do it because, who are you going to replace him with? And you've replaced him with someone I think is the best. But why? Eddie's a World Cup animal.
Yeah, I
just
think the final nail in the coffin was that New Zealand game where they were drawing and they kicked the ball out. I think people went, what the fuck are they doing there? Like, I haven't seen that in an international team. You try and win the game. There's nothing in it.
But why do you reckon he changes his backroom staff so much?
Well, I think that actually being
He
completely.
gives them a fucking, what was it, a sausage instead of a steak?
Yeah,
He plays mind games.
I'll be honest with you, okay, and this is again I've mentioned the book a few times. Apologise, I'm not sorry. That's why he managed to lure me on the podcast. But the honest answer is, I think firstly, when you're a sportsman or a coach or anything in life, you're always led to believe that you can be whatever you want to be, and you're really successful, and you think you can deal with pressure. You think you can deal with intensity. Men especially have a massive ego. They're not used to being told they're not good enough. And when you're in an international coach, you think you're the shit. The fact of the matter is, when Eddie first came in, he said, "Do you know what? Some of these players in this room aren't going to make it to the World Cup. Somebody with me. Some of the coaches aren't going to make it with me. Some of the physios aren't going to make it with me." Now, how many people do you know in your club environments that you look at them and go, "How the fuck did they get this job?" And they're in positions of power. And players you look at, or players you look at and go, "Do you know what? You haven't got the attitude. You haven't got the intensity. Every time the pressure comes on, you point fingers at everybody else." We all know that. But they don't know that. They probably don't know themselves. If you were to go, "Do you know what? Every time I ask you, you made a mistake, you say it's someone else's fault. How dare you? What do you mean?" They kick off. "Fuck off, mate." The fact is that some of those coaches weren't good enough. Some of those coaches, people could not take the pressure. Did Eddie, did he always handle it well? No. But the fact of the matter is they weren't good enough. To be honest with you, some of the gashest physios I've ever worked with have been around national teams. So I just think the belief is you've got the best people in the job, and some people just are never going to get any better. So what's worse? Breaking someone's illusion or moving on.
Let's talk about another England head coach you've played under, and a second row leader as well in that way, and Martin Johnson, who apparently had some quite weird motivational methods as we're on the subject. Can you take us through his alternative techniques?
Yeah, so we had it's a weird one. They quite liked a motivational video back in the day, right? As you lads will probably know, it can go quite horribly wrong, a motivational video.
Well, I've been showed a porno before a match before.
Have you?
Genuine?
Saying that would get you up for it.
It does. So, ironically, if you train while watching
It just felt like
Boost
porn,
test.
it boosts testosterone. Apparently,
that was well, and it just felt like what
So
I
which
can
clubs
imagine.
do that then, guys?
a bit hard to do RDL with a phone.
Oh yeah, but it's just sort of.
Oh, England.
I can imagine it's like watching porn with your mum and dad. That's what it would have
like
felt
scantily clad women around.
Yeah.
But I think Bath did something like that. At
No,
some
we
point.
did that.
what?
England did that. They used to put on the cheerleader, the Miami Dolphins cheerleader videos. Put them on in the gym, playing in the background. I don't know what the science behind it was, but it looked better than.
But go on. So what are Jono's?
No, so
what are
Jono
Jono's? Come on.
loved. They loved.
Put a spin on it if you need to.
Yeah, well, no, they loved a. They got it like they thought it was. They thought it was a good idea to do one of them where, the first one was, it was a remix to the 300. Hold the line, hold right.
Max at the front.
Right. Yeah, Max at the front. Right. Yeah, with you're like that guy who couldn't lift his shield.
Every artist.
Like,
Rolled at the neck of the artist.
I'm like, Max, lift your shield. Like
a king.
Yeah, you're like, I hope you live forever. You're like, no! Yeah, that's you. You are like, literally like him, like, lift your shield, man.
Shoulder to thigh, Theates. Yeah, you're just.
Yeah. You're a hole in the line. You're like a cocktail stick. You can't even fucking stab anyone with it. Such niche references. Who knew?
Yeah,
They were so well
we
informed.
love Rio.
Fucking hell.
Remixed to 300, right? And it was, and they put into it like hold with like what's his name, Gerard Butler, going hold, and then it was Mar Nonu
Oh no.
sidestepping through everyone, and it was like really weird because it was like hold the line and Mar Nonu, but Mar Nonu looked unbelievable. So I basically, I came out of it and was like, fuck, New Zealand are amazing, right? There wasn't any clips of us, and like when they started playing it, Joe Worsley just fell on the floor, burst into like hysterical laugh. The roar went up. They were in the room going, right, lads, we've motivated you. They're going to be so ready for it. And they heard us hysterically laughing. And the video guy was on like suicide watch. They confiscated his like laptop, shoelaces and belt because they were like, he was like, well, we were obviously going, mate, what the fuck was that? But the worst one was, so we played, again, playing New Zealand. They obviously thought we just, I think the coaches could have done well by not talking about New Zealand, probably would have helped us. But anyway, all week we're talking about New Zealand, and they put on this video in team run. So we're at Twickenham Stadium, all the kits laid out, for the warm up, and they come in
25 grand stacked up in your spot.
Yeah, in a kit bag in a brown envelope.
Oh, God.
Tax man, it wasn't a brown envelope, sadly. And I used to, what did they give you? Like a sporran full of porridge, sporran full of oats and a Mars bar. Yeah.
With Tom Evans on the front.
Yeah.
Tom Evans on the front.
Quaker on a Quaker.
Yeah, he's on the front of the fucking porridge bar.
A load of those Scottish £10 notes that nobody wants. Just a sack of them, can't get rid of them.
He's him.
Yeah. Anyway, so they come in and they go, right, lads, I'm not being funny, but big game against New Zealand. Done a bit of video. Hit it. Right?
No.
And they play this video on the big screen, and basically it goes England versus New Zealand, November the 12th, 2000, whatever, right? And it's the opening scene from Goodfellas, or one of the scenes in Goodfellas, where the guy, one of the neighbours gropes one of the guy's wives, Ray Liotta's wife, and he basically, but there's no sound. So we're sitting there, it's all quiet, and you see him walk up, right? Get a gun, pistol whip this guy to the floor, right, smash it, and we were like that, what the fuck, right? Smash him to the floor, knocks him out, right?
That's a good scene.
Says something to him, and then it goes, bring the violence, England versus New Zealand, right? And the coach will look at this, right? Go out. And obviously you could tell that there was a fault, there was no sound to it. So anyway, we've run out, and I went, well, I'm confused, right? And it was like, what do you mean? I went, well, do I need to bring a fucking gun tomorrow to play New Zealand? And I went, wig. I went to Graham Round. She's like, Graham, do I need a gun? Shut the fuck up, Haskell. They were all on edge because they'd obviously fucked the whole thing. And I was like, do I need to bring a shooter? And as I said that, Borth is like, shoulders are going, and they've obviously fucked it. So you would have think, right, we're going to bin that. We're going to bin that idea. Nah, night for the day of the game, on the bus, hit it. Same thing, but with sound this time.
It's the gesture.
And it's like, and I honestly was like, and the best thing is we ain't got pumped by 35 fucking points. Bring the violence. I was like, what is beating someone to sort of incoherence with the bottom of a pistol got to do with motivating for a game?
All those videos they do, and if the music's off a little bit, or that they're like trying to turn it up as it started, and they missed the beginning, you can't hear it.
No.
You're like, what?
Martin Johnson unhappy when you got caught on a boat with prosies, couple of hookies in
No,
Sydney.
they weren't prostitutes. They weren't.
Exotic dancers.
No, they weren't.
Women who had to pay.
They weren't. So the story behind that. So
paid
the
women.
headlines was no, they weren't. They weren't. So okay, this is a long story, but I tried to shorten it. So basically, we went out in Australia. So one of the guys who used to go to Wellington was a city trader who was living in Wolverine's apartment.
Got prostitutes written all over it, mate.
Living in Wolverine's apartment, right? Massive scheme, was amazing. He said, do you guys want to come to lunch, Old Wellingtonian lunch? I said, me, Doz, 4 or 5 of the other lads went down to Sydney Harbour, right? Beautiful table, outside, in the sun, few bottles of Cloudy Bay. Guys weren't involved. Bit of seafood starter, really nice. Okay. There was a bird.
Keep it short. He's fucking
Sorry,
letting us know what you
I'm in though. I'm suddenly
I'm there.
I like it.
Adding the context. Go on.
ice cold.
That's good.
Right, so we're lads, the drinks are flowing, chatting shit, really nice. There's a bird sitting a table away, right, with 2 blokes, right, and she's wearing an old-fashioned, the Queen's Guard greatcoat, red coat with buttons done up, right. They're under a lot of tension. They're under more pressure than Liz Truss was, ready to burst out, right. So we're sitting there having a chat, and the guy goes, listen, what I've done is I've sorted for a boat tour for you to go round Sydney Harbour to look round. We've got a surprise. It's brilliant. Anyway, as we got up, this woman said, can we get a photo? And I was like, yeah, no problem. But when I got close to it, I was reminded of a story that happened, I think it was outside Murrayfield, with Phil Greening and Joe Worsley, where a woman came up to them with a cameraman and said, could I have a photo? And they went, yeah, no problem. As it was a photo, she lifted her top up, had her tits out with the sun written on it. Bloke papped it, ran it in the papers. Obviously, people got upset. I stood next to her, saw this top, and I was like, oh my God, she's gonna, because she's gonna do it. Button on that thing had come on. It was under so much pressure, it would have taken someone's head off. If that button had burst, right? So I thought all the lads got round it, and I was like, fucking hell, this is not good. So I hid on the side of the photo. The bloke then turns and pulls the most professional telephoto lens, like set up, like a Canon, D500 with a fucking full one of them grey lenses. Right, well, this is a fucking setup. So I've hidden on the edge, had a photo, thought nothing more about it. Got on the boat, and there's 4 or 5 girls in kind of lingerie, right? Bear with me. Serving drinks. The guy goes, listen, I've got some PR girls. They were PR like, you see them, the Red Bull girls or whatever, that kind of vibe, handing out some drinks. Anyway,
in lingerie.
Well, they was, scantily clad, let's put it this way, right? But they were PR girls, went on a boat trip, went around Sydney Harbour. They weren't prostitutes at all. Genuine, I tell you, I didn't fuck. And we went round the harbour. Anyway, thought nothing more of it. Came off, all really friendly, lovely. Went and met out the rest of the team for a team meal out. Lads were loving it. What a day. Bit pissed up. Great. I then got called into, I didn't think I was going to be involved, got called into them play against Australia. We went and played the game. We beat Australia. I didn't get on. Came into change room. I seen Dozzers like that. Like this, right? I'm like, what's going on? Jono goes, could I have a word? I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, right? I hate, my entire life is spent being taken into corners, being told off. At 37, I still got told off by a child, by everybody. So I get called into his room, and he's like, Hask, I'm not being funny, but the Daily Mail, the News of the World have got a story, were you on a boat with prostitutes? I'm like, no, what are you talking about? He goes, are you serious? They're running a story that we were prostitutes. Now, it turns out the woman that we had a photo with was a famous madam, a famous prostitute owner in Sydney.
I think Mark knows what a madam is.
Yeah, madam. Yeah. So, the listeners at home might not, right?
Mark's starting to swear.
Yeah, right. So basically, a madam was a famous madam who ran a stable of prostitutes. Now, what she'd said is she'd taken a photo. They'd sold it to the News of the World because they were there, and said she had supplied prostitutes for the boat. Now, I called up and I said, no, that's bullshit. You're talking absolute shit. Called the guy up from Wellington and said, listen, were those girls prostitutes? He's like, no. I said, well, where'd you get them from? I said, they're a PR agency. They weren't from this woman's company. No. So anyway, Jono was basically going, did you have sex with these girls? Did anyone have sex with the girls? I'm like, I didn't. Nobody did. I didn't. I certainly did not shag anyone, right? So anyway, everyone was freaking out. Dozza was called and he goes, well, Dozza, were you there? Dozza's like, no. And he goes, well, we can see you were there because you're in the photo. He was like, I was there.
I forgot the question.
So, yeah, sorry, I slipped my mind. You say, was I there or wasn't I there? It's very difficult. And so anyway, proved that it wasn't. And because we just beaten Australia for one of the first times in Australia, it was actually quite good. We proved that they weren't prostitutes. We proved that they weren't related to this madam. So they ended up publishing a story on like page 17, right, entitled like I think Boats and Hoes or something like that. But what they've done is they've taken a photo. Now the bit I missed out, the story was as we were getting on the boat and leaving the harbour, right, Big Doz is at the front holding a Corona camera phone, right? Couple of girls are at the front, couple of girls at the top decks. One of the lads is like, arms round, just chatting. I'm at the back of the boat, like just looking out, looking at the harbour. Seeing this guy gone with a lens. I've gone, lads, get down, right? I've dived. You just literally see my feet hanging off the fucking side of the boat. But it's caught Dozza, caught everyone else. And one of the lads, I won't name him, was getting married on the weekend. And they've done that thing where they've got a bubble and zoomed in and then enlarged the bubble, and he's like that. Boats and Hoes. But I think luckily no one saw it, and because we won the game and they weren't prostitutes, we got away with it. But it's not every day that Martin Johnson's pinned you into a corner going, "Did you fuck him?" I was like, I didn't. They didn't want me. It's so hot.
Do you miss those days going on tour?
Yeah, I think one of the things you miss with being retired is the ruthless environment, being around lads the whole time, walking in and going, "Oh my God." this guy's just got a new haircut and he thinks looks a shit, and then he's buried for life. That is that's the thing. Or scarred for life. Or someone coming in.
Or a simple thing of fucking trainers after Christmas.
Yes.
So easy.
Special shoes. Special shoes.
Like Christmas trainers. And you're like, fuck.
I know.
You actually wouldn't wear new trainers until fucking April.
You don't get it real well, because then I tried to, I had to learn very quickly to take that behaviour away from my repertoire, because I'd walk in real life and go, fucking hell, mate, you've got teeth like burnt fence posts. Look at them special shoes. Oh, you're Mrs. Ming. And they'll be like, you've now got to go to the HR department and you've got official complaint. You're like, okay.
But travelling like tours and doing tours
all
like
that stuff, great.
How good
But because the DJing stuff, I get to travel quite a lot, so that's kind of nice. I was getting to Dubai.
Dropped in the DJ.
Yeah.
Quick one, Cara, we're running really low on time, but let's talk about, you did the rounds in terms of loads of globe-trotting, getting wonderful opportunities around the world, Japan, of course, and then New Zealand and in France.
Yes.
We had Ollie Phillips on, and
Yes.
Let's talk about Stade Francais a little bit, and Max
How true,
Guizzoni. Tell us some
true
of the truth
all of
and the
Ollie's
sort of boy that he
stories.
was.
Well, he said that. I missed out on the Madonna bit in the bath. I didn't see that, because if Madonna had been in the bath, I would have been on that like a spider monkey. I would have been in there. So I didn't see that part of it. I mean, I'd say 99% of the stories are pretty true. I mean, some of the stuff happened before we went there. Because I asked Max, drunk a couple of times, like, Max, can we bring back the old days? He said, no, it's not possible. It was a media, I was fucking ruined everything. And I was like, this is bullshit. One of the stories, I think, there was a time we had to, the neighbour, we were playing a game, and the neighbour had bought this new dog. And it had it for about 6 weeks, and he used to bark incessantly, and they'd gone away and left this dog with a bowl of food and water and gone away for the weekend. So it was barking. We were like playing Toulouse at the Jean Bois Stadium. We couldn't get it to sleep. So I said to Ollie, listen, mate, I can't sleep. This dog won't shut up. We're going to have to drug the dog, right? We have to drug the dog. And I apologise to the RSPCA. Please forward all things to RugbyPass. Just put James Haskell send to RugbyPass, because I'm not interested. And so I said to Ollie that we've got to sort it out. So I got a Zoppy. Broke off a quarter of it.
Sleeping pill.
Got a quarter of it.
Frequent.
Wrapped up in a piece of ham, right? Saw the dog. The dog saw me. And I was like, right. I threw it in to the room, because they had an open window. The dog walked up to it, sniffed it, pulled the ham out, left the pill, and ate the ham. And now it's just a quarter of a sleeping pill sitting in the middle of their room. And I was like, well, how are we going to get that, right? And the dog's been sitting there just barking at me, looking again. I was like, well, we haven't solved the problem here. We've made it 10 times worse. So, Ollie, you're going to have to climb up and get in and get the gun. Get the musket. And I said to Ollie, Ollie then had to climb up the window, basically breaking and entering. He climbed up the window, climbed in, took the pill out, right? So he broke into someone's house to get the pill.
God.
Then came out again. I went, Ollie, that's brilliant, but we still haven't solved the situation, because the dog's still barking. We've got to be up. It's like 10 o'clock at night. They're not coming home. How are we going to get to sleep? I can't sleep. It was like echoing around this courtyard. So I then crushed up the pill.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Put it in the ham. Threw it back through the window.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah. I didn't sever their heads and keep it in the fridge. And I then threw it through the window, and then the dog came. We saw it came up, sniffed it, ate it. Right, and about 10 minutes later, I just fell asleep. We obviously played the game. We came back, and by the time we came back, they were coming back. The dog was still asleep. Came up, they woke it up, and then started shouting at the dog because it was cracked, because it just kept yawning and going back to its bed. It lived. It was fine, and everyone had a happy day. But essentially, Ollie Phillips did break it entering just to drug the dog.
Haven't you got previous though on drugging? Not.
Yes.
You've drugged people.
Yeah, I have,
or person on a
but I saved their
line
career. I saved their career on that line store. So we all know people that are hand grenades on the smash who can't control themselves. Mm-hmm. So on this particular,
we'll find out tonight, won't we?
On this particular flight back from Asian people haven't got the gene to digest alcohol, so you'll be fucked.
Yeah, but on the other way, it's Chinese Welsh, not the other way around.
Right, fine. Okay, get it. So they No, so we're on the plane, and this guy had been drinking, and it was on the return leg, drawn a prestigious New Zealand series. But this guy was getting so drunk that he was dive passing the in-flight magazine down the aisle, he was climbing over people's seats, shouting at people, throwing stuff around the cabin. And obviously we had a bit of a section, but people coming in and out. There's members of the public everywhere.
It was a general punter, not a player.
No, it's a player. It's a player.
Oh,
but
we can't.
But he was going. No, we can't name him.
We can't name him.
No, we can't name him. But he was
give clues or anything.
Well, I think he actually ironically figured it out. And goes, did you drug me? And I was like,
I'm guessing it's a 9. It's a 9.
Yeah,
because he's died bartender, right?
But that's
There we
what
go.
goes-
So we're down to 4 players.
Right, so anyway, so he was acting like he was utter carnage, and I remember it was getting bad because he on the business class space, you had two seats. He was just walking through people's over tables, just not even concentrating, pulling people's tables up, climbing over, shouting at people, getting more and more smashed. Stewardesses were like going, "We need to do something about him." So the doctor gave you an in-flight sleeper if you wanted to sleep on the way back. So I took 3 of them from the lads. I said, "Listen, lads, we're going to have to get rid of him because this is going to be awful." Put it in, mixed it in, went, "Mate, I haven't seen you all flight, bro. Let's have a fucking drink." lads, right, got it, smashed it. I honestly watched him, it was like, yeah, and it was honestly like watching something run out of batteries. It was like, yeah. Hey man, I like you, man. You're crazy. You got a door in your neck. But yeah, he honestly, when he just went, you see him sat down, I was like, yeah.
I can see RugbyPass clipping this up, and you're going to be in Jeffrey Dahmer's head.
Yeah.
James Dahmer.
Similar lid and glasses. And he we put him to sleep, and he slept for
Yeah, you did save his career because he would have got in so much trouble. He would have got arrested.
Horribly wrong. Good
on you.
So who was there? Who was it? Conor Murray.
No, it wouldn't have been Mike Phillips.
Okay, fine. All right.
It wasn't Mike Phillips. He wasn't there.
Final thing we do it with all of our guests. It's our quick fire round. First thing that comes into your head. Best player you've ever played with?
Jason Robinson.
Best player you've ever played against?
Rich McCaw.
Biggest fight you've witnessed in training?
Or involved in?
Yeah, pretty much. It's more, more end up, me and Ali McKenzie had a good fight once. I'd say the most disappointing fight was Joe Worsley versus Lawrence Delalio. Like, they had a fight line out, obviously, competitors. And Joe went to hit Lawrence, just ended up wristing him in the face. It was like awful. And I was like, yeah, Joe. Even today, I reminded him, do you remember that time you wristed Lawrence in the face? And Lawrence So yeah, that was pretty bad.
Worst enemy in rugby?
Worst enemy? I don't really... when a personality like mine, you can't really afford yourself to have enemies because you're required to taste the best stuff. I tell you something, I always had a sort of head-to-head that was Jamie Cudmore. Every time we played Claremont, it was always obscene acts of violence. Like I never, I mean, obviously he's got amazing concussion issues now, so I probably shouldn't have said it. But we ended up having, like he'd clear me out, I clear him out. He'd fucking drop his Swede on my drop. We just went for it the whole time, and I think I always had a chip on my shoulder. People thought because I was a bit soft. No one ever said it, but I thought I just was like in my own head. The voice is like, "Never, this is your public school." I was like, "Fuck you!" So him and I would always end up scrappy. I remember one time he held me in at scrum, so I just punched him right. Back in the day, it's like decent TMO, just punched him right in the face. Ran to clear out. I was playing 7. Ran to clear out the ruck on the far side. Cleared out the ruck. He couldn't get to me. So then just punched Tim Payne. Just was like outdated that. Punched Tim Payne, he wasn't involved. Right? I then got up from the breakdown. The punched Tim Payne fell into me, into the barrier. I'm being crushed. Jamie Cosner seen me, he's trying to punch me. And there's a real nice old fella who formerly passed away, used to work at the RFU, starts hitting I think on the table of the programme. Hitting the programme. He got banned. He got disgraced. Poor bloke, guy called Blackie. Lovely bloke. Just obviously, just a reaction, like a natural reaction. Just hitting someone, going, stop. Right, as Jamie Cudmore was trying to tear Payno in half to get to me. So I was like sniggering the whole time. But yeah, that was him, and I always had a text. But never. I didn't really ever have proper beef with anyone. It was just you saw it and you're like, do you know what? I'm gonna have to fucking put my gumshoe on and I'm gonna have to go for it today. You know what I mean?
Final one. 3 people in a cab with you for the ultimate piss up.
Paul Dawn Jones, obviously.
So it's a piss up, not sex tape. Just
well, but that's how all piss ups end. That's how that's how professionals are doing. Amateurs maybe not. Amateurs go home and be sick on their shoes and cry and text their ex going, "I love you." Yeah. I say Dozer, Lawrence Delalio. One more. Who would I need? Probably. One Leguizamon or one Leguizamon would be quite good. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say the bloke from the club in Paris.
Yeah.
With the beret.
Yeah, he was great.
And finally, one person you think you would have been best mates with if you'd actually known them, a rugby player.
Oh, that is a great question.
Yeah, that's a new one.
Actually, someone like Sean O'Brien, ironically, on the line till we bonded, and I used to speak to him after Ireland games. We'd have a beer, but I always imagined he was the Irish James Haskell. In your head. Do you know what I mean?
James Haskell. You're the English Sean O'Brien.
Yeah.
You just thought we'll fucking get on.
Sadly
We'll
not as
get on.
talented, unfortunately. But I just thought, and we ultimately did. But we never got, because again, he's got a big personality, but it's not as, he's got to know you a bit and he's a different kind of person. But once I got to spend some time with him, we're very different people, but we and I had the utmost respect. He was an incredible player, but he's a very good dude. And we had a lot of good fun. So I always thought that would happen, and ultimately it did on the line. So I got to share him.
Brilliant. Sadly, that is all the time we've got left for this week. Huge thank you, as always, to Ryan and Max, and thank you to James as well. And good luck with the book tour and everything else that's going on in your life. There it is. If you're watching, it's James with lovely hair.
It's called Approach Without Caution, 5 Pillars to Change Your Life. Take control of your life, really. It's available WH Smith, Waterstones, Amazon. It's incredible. You'll absolutely love it. I promise you won't be disappointed.
Brilliant. And we'll see you all next week.
I'm going to
Bye.
write a book.